What's going on, people? It's Sunday, the 12th of July. I'm going to turn the radio off because what's going on is the mainstream media is going over the past like it matters, like it's going to move us anywhere forward. It's just the same old shit of making money off of misery. We know about the past, okay? We need to change, all right? How y'all doing? Yes, I'm going to always turn off the likes so you can't see them because it is really insane to think that there's people who have to, well, here's the way to put it. I must be awfully powerful that you don't like my videos, but you watch them. Yeah, I'm laughing at you. Sad motherfuckers. Whoever you are. So, yeah, I'm real. I'm just going to be real as I need to be because, as you can see by the news, things aren't getting any better. And that orange idiot they finally got him to wear a mask. Let's see if that helps with all the delusion, the white delusion. All the idiots that don't wear masks and take seriously this health situation. I could go on, but I'm going to just try to chill. It's Sunday, and it's a beautiful morning. But I want to share with you that John D., who gave me this book for my birthday, I started reading this. This is really well written. It's a very unhappy story. It completely goes along with my feelings about how James Brown was ripped off. And according to the book, not a dime that he left for charity for blacks made it to not a single. Of course, I really wasn't surprised to find it out. But as I read the book and see, of course I know it to a degree, but what James Brown was up against, especially in the time period, there should be a gold statue of him in Washington, D.C. Something that the book brings up before I go on that I'd like to point out that I agreed with, and I thought to myself, this is right. I never thought of it like this, but we always talk about the beginnings of rock and roll. We bring up people like Big Mama Thornton, and of course, the architects that everyone knows, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Bill Haley. But he brings up, and as soon as he did in the book, I said, oh, shit, he's right, because I grew up with this music. Unrecognized rock and roll people who started it. Louis Jordan and Lionel Hampton. He brings them up in the book, and I'm saying, son of a gun, he's right. I grew up on that music. The showmanship of Louis Jordan, his humor, the way that he could engage an audience beyond race way back then. And the Lionel Hampton, I'm proud to say my dad was a member of the Lionel Hampton Orchestra for a short time in his life. Early on, my dad played with Lionel Hampton. Look up Lionel Hampton. Absolutely, he was a rock and roller before we knew what rock and roll was. Just the way he ran his bands and the way that he performed and what he asked of the musicians. That was rock and roll before, so deep that it's like most people don't recognize it. But when I read it in the book, it's like, wow, boy, he's right. So I'm appreciating the book. I'm going to hear about some music. I'll tell you about some music because, once again, I have well, it's the first of the month. I'm on Social Security. I got my check. Unlike a lot of people who, when they get their check, or maybe rest in peace, my uncles. I'm going to bring up my uncles when I was a little boy because I lived with my grandma and my uncles, two of my uncles for a while. They were both veterans and horrible alcoholics. And when they would get their checks at the beginning of the month, they would drink them away, literally. Drink the whole check. I can remember a couple of months helping my uncle Harry bring in his monthly stash of wine, and his whole bed, underneath his bed, from head to toe, was wine bottles, and he'd drink them all. And I'd have to deal with it. I learned a lot about human behavior from all that. So I don't be buying wine and shit. I bought some records. And because of well, I think it's part of it, but it's also because I'm in Omaha, there's not much left here for me to buy. God dang it. So this is what I could find. I'll also show you what I've been playing, because yesterday I did play a bunch of music. Okay, I'm breaking down and getting the Prince. It ain't over. And I'm glad I am, because I've always loved Prince. But the deal about Prince is that above and beyond the cult of his personality and his looks, he was an incredible band leader and musician. And this is from those late night jams that he would have. And it smokes. Look at that. That's exactly what you hear on this record. These guys are working it out. Really glad I bought this. I was kind of didn't know that I would care. I like that they're all on this beautiful marble, purple vinyl, all of them. I also hope, it's beyond me, but I do hope that legally the Prince Foundation, which means his family, are actually getting some of this money. I know the way the business works. So a lot of people who have no business deserving, who don't deserve any of Prince's money, are getting a lot of Prince's money. I hope the family are getting some of it. But this is great. I'll point out that I put this T-shirt on, the old Genesis T-shirt on yesterday, because that Catherine Wheel has that decal on the front. You know, how they make certain types of T-shirts. It was too hot, so I put this on. This is from the 1986 tour, 1980 tour. Yeah, I saw them. Steve Hackett was still with them. Let me talk about Prince for half a second, because I didn't stop there. I got another one. I got records to show you. I did. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I got these. Okay. Well, okay. When the other one comes up, I'll show it. But I bought two more. Musicology. This is the last time I saw him live. Was on the Musicology tour with Larry Graham and Cynthia Robinson from Sly and the Family Stone in the band. Wow. This is the one where I slept out to get the ticket. We got a really good ticket close. And I bought the CD, or the CD came with the ticket, but I can't find the CD. I've lost it, which has perplexed me for a long time. And this is another good album. Well, again, Prince was about the music. I mean, he was a personality, but he was a musician first. Once again, these are all on that beautiful marble vinyl. 180 gram. And bless Prince's soul. But because he was light-skinned and pretty and sexy, that's how he got through. But he was black as night inside. Black. A black man. We got a lot of work to do, folks, regarding trying to recover this country from COVID and trying to move forward from systemic racism. I'll tell you this. It did transpire that what I said was true. That Support the Blue rally here in Omaha was a cover for a white supremacist rally. A bunch of people I know went and counter-protested, and when they got there, that's exactly what they saw. This wasn't about the police. This is about putting down black and brown people. This city is full of shit. Okay, so I'm just going to show what's in the pile, because there's a couple more new ones, but this is what I played yesterday. A nice variety. Yellow Magic Orchestra, Technodelic. I've got two different versions of this album. I love this band. I can't say enough about them. Hiromi Hosono just had a birthday on the 10th of July. He's a master. Fantastic. Get to know Yellow Magic Orchestra if you don't. Band from Canada, Maneige, somewhere between prog and jazz fusion. Most of the stuff is really good. Some of the stuff is a little passé. This is a wonderful album, and particularly the last song on it, Pas Up. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful song. It's a favorite. That song off of this album, Papazov is the name of the song. That song off this album is above the album, and that song goes into my favorites list of songs. If the whole album was as good as that one song, it'd be incredible. Got another Beatles. I never owned this, never thought I wanted it, and yet this is really good. It's got a lot of good Beatles songs on it. I think it's because I didn't care for the movie that I never wanted the album, but help, I picked up a 180-gram remaster of it. And as I played it, I said, well, shit, this is just jam-packed with great Beatles songs, you know. The Night Before, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. Tell Me What You See. I've Just Seen a Face. Good God fucking almighty. But I never enjoyed the movie, unlike Hard Day's Night, which totally captivated me as a kid. Loved it. Dreamed it. Pulled this because I haven't played it in a while. The cover was like that when I bought it. Looks like maybe either a cat or some mice got to it. But this is Kwame Nkrumah, not the Ghanaian leader, not the former Ghanaian leader. This is a African guitarist. Seventh Son. Now, what's interesting is this is early days of, like, they had Olatunji on Columbia Records, where they would try and find a way to make, in a colonial way, this black music appeal to white people. So that aspect is here, where it's trying to kind of tone it down, but it's still just killer African music, period. Kwame Nkrumah. I've never seen another copy to replace this crap cover. The record's in great shape. But you know, little stuff like that bugs you. I'd love to have a real nice copy. Of course, it's a promo, and I like that. This is very good if you don't know this. Kwame Nkrumah. Got into some Magazine last night. Magazine is a band that came up in punk, but they really were, to me, groundbreaking. They went from punk to prog to something beyond that. The first album, Real Life, it's just blisters and scorches the whole album. From the beginning, it starts off hard, then it goes into the Dave Formula prog keyboard thing, that beauty, and then it smashes back into the power. Wow. Wow. Now, Magazine definitely put their finger in your eye the way that they release Secondhand Daylight and the way it starts. They make no concession to punk rockers. It's like, we don't give a shit what you expect from us. This is what we're doing. This album starts off very slow and somber and just builds in intensity. This is an amazing album. Secondhand Daylight, this is a top shelf album for me. Look at these bad fuckers. Years ago, I sent an email to Barry Adamson, the black bass player, because he's an inspiration to me, and I wrote a little letter. I just decided to do it. Got his contact information of how he wrote me back. That felt good, and it was a real conversation. We had a conversation from one black bass player to another who was crossing that line in a way that many others weren't. So in that sense, I am definitely a punk pioneer. That's the title of that article that I was in that's still on the wall. I'm going to leave it up there. I'm real proud of that. It's been years now. But yeah, I crossed the color line here in Nebraska a long time ago. Made the news in the 70s because I was rocking hard with the white boys and no one else was doing it. I made the news. We haven't gotten that much further here in 2020 here in Nebraska. Another one of my top albums, Terje Rypdal, however you say his first name, Terje. What Comes After, from Norway. Great guitarist. This is one of my favorite albums. Very moody. Very moody. that picture of the road. I don't know why, but it really captures the feeling of this album. I love it. Okay, a couple more new things added to the collection. Turns out that I have a recording of this, but I couldn't tell. It's Ornette Coleman, An Evening With, and it's the recording made in England in 1965. It's been released before. I think I have a different version of it, possibly. I didn't check, but when I saw this in the racks, it was a leftover from Record Store Day a few years ago, and so it was marked down. And it also was on a beautiful vinyl, 180 gram. So I said, well, sure. I'm shopping, you know, I'm looking for good music, but I'm shopping. You know what I'm saying? I'm spending money. I'm indulging myself. So I bought this. And the one side, the first side is like an orchestral group doing one of his compositions for the main part, and then the B side is the band, and that one is blistering. It's just excellent. Okay, here's another one where I've had a bogus copy for a long time and went ahead and bought a remaster. Pink Floyd's Piper at the Gates of Dawn. I've a Saucerful of Secrets. Excuse me, before you get to correct me. So I've had a yellow vinyl boot of this for a long time, and it served me well. But these remasters they jump off the turntable. They do. The Beatles, this remaster series, well worth it. You can hear it immediately, the difference. And this is the first thing I heard by Pink Floyd. I was maybe 13 or 14 years old at the time. Heard it on underground radio. I heard they played A Saucerful of Secrets. It was disorienting, and I had to know who it was, and blew my mind. So this is one of my favorite Pink Floyd records. I rate this above most of the others, including Dark Side of the Moon. The first two Pink Floyd albums are probably my favorites. I was really glad to get that. Played this yesterday and posted it, got a lot of conversation out of it. This is an original U.S. copy of Gun, the Gervitz Brothers, and that's Roger Dean, the Yes album cover art guy. This is his first professional album cover design. Came out in 1969, I believe. And Race with the Devil bothered the charts a little bit, I guess, in England. This is a really good hard rock album, but it's ambitious. It starts off hard rocking, and on side one they try several different things. They try to get orchestral, but by the time they get to the last song on side one, it won't be long, they're back to just blowing your heads off with rock. This is a great album. Collectible too, not heavily. I mean, you can find this fairly cheaply, but it's a collector's item. Now here's one that's gone up in value I didn't realize, because I hadn't played in a long time. And I've had this since I was a kid. Now, some of you who've been following me know that I'm a big Genesis fan, particularly the Peter Gabriel era. But I had this album before I knew who Genesis was. And there's Phil Collins. This is Flaming Youth Art 2. This is a survivor of my childhood record collection. I found this as a cutout. This came out in 1969. I think it was a cutout by 1971 or something like that. But this goes back. It's a pop album, but there's a concept to it about the constellations or something like that. Phil Collins, when his drumming starts on here, on the first song, when the drums come in, they come in with a flourish, and right away you can hear it's a great drummer. He also sings on this album. So right away, the talent that he has is already apparent. I'm really glad I hung on to this album. You know, I was hanging out, liking it before I knew anything about Genesis. Flaming Youth, Art 2. Really good album. It's held up well. Here's the other Prince that I went ahead and picked up. I'm real glad I did, because I was thinking, I don't want that. What am I talking about? This is the one I really wanted. The Versace Experience. It's a companion album to the Gold album. I have the Gold album on CD. I've always wanted it on the vinyl, but I don't want to pay $500 for it. But this is great. Once again, it comes, I won't show it. It's the same purple color vinyl. I love it. But man, this is great because it's got a club edit, a club mix of Pussy Control. Great song. Billy Jack Bitch, all this. 319. I've actually done a cover of 319 as a solo artist. Me doing Prince, yeah. So yeah, a Versace experience. Really glad. That might be about, let me see. Yes, I've shown those. Okay. So there and it's about that time to stop anyway. I love hearing from you folks. I love hearing from you good people because it's really obvious now that there's a difference between decent people and people who are sick, mean, full of hate. They got problems and they're trying to put it out in the world. And I ain't got time for it. We need to be healing and we need to be moving things up. So racism, racial hatred, hatred of people who are different from you because of sex or whatever, they look different, they live on the wrong side of the street. We really need, it's time to wake up to that. A sane, decent person cannot give us any reasons why we need this hateful, foolish thinking and behavior. That won't stop it, but this is what needs to be done. This is why I've got my foot in the ass of the police. Silence is complicity. We all have to speak up and say, that's enough. You're fucking it up for everybody. You know, you selfish white people who want your selfish little white world back. No, it was wrong in the first place. It was wrong in the first place. And that's why there's such a scrabble. Because people don't want to deal with that reality. It wasn't good. The good old days were not good. They were only good for a small amount of people, and those people don't even deserve it. So let's go, people. Let's go. Let's move forward. That's enough of this ignorance, hate, and ignorance, and stupidity. The dumb motherfucker Trump, finally, they got him to wear a mask because they overspent on official presidential or White House masks. How much do they spend on those masks? It's always some kind of corrupt, fucked up shit, isn't it? But now that the jive fucking turkey wore one, maybe we can get the rest of his stupid zombie-like idiot followers to wear masks too, so we can all get well. It's up to us to get rid of this virus. Get on a realistic tip instead of a political. Poisonous politics. Poisonous. It's poisoned the well. People can't even see the fact that a tree is a tree because their minds have been poisoned by politics. Very strange. We got to get this shit together, y'all.